Dusty May. At this time, I would very much like to introduce the Chair of the University Board of Regents, Sarah Hubbard, who will tip things off for us with some opening remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Michigan Board of Regents, and my colleagues and I could not be more thrilled to be here supporting our new coach today, supporting our athletic director, and all the efforts he's taken to bring this search to a close very quickly and move forward with somebody we know we're going to be very proud of and looking forward to work with. Thank you for being here with your family. And I just want to say go blue to everybody, and thanks again. And I'll turn it over to our Donald R. Shepard Athletic Director, Ward Manuel.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for being here today. It is a great day, and I'm glad to see so many in attendance and the Maze Rage. Go ahead, I love it. Welcoming Coach Dusty May in the right way, and I'm glad y'all are here, really glad. First, I want to publicly thank Juwan Howard for his hard work and efforts over the past 5 years. He's one of the legends of Michigan basketball. Had some great success during his time as our coach, is a tremendous person with a great family. I want to thank President Ono for his support throughout this process. He was happy to know last Monday, when I reviewed the candidates with him, that Dusty was my top target of the search. I want to thank the entire board for their support throughout the process. I want to thank Doug Ganaki, my chief of staff, Chad Chatlos and Billy King from Turnkey ZRG, who served as my search consultant. And last, but certainly not least, Coach John Beeline, who provided extremely valuable insight to me over the last 5 days of this search. Today is a very exciting day. A friend of mine called it May Day. It's probably been used before, but I thought we should do it again, you know? Today, I'm thrilled to be able to announce and celebrate the hiring of Dusty May as our 18th men's basketball head coach. For nearly 2 decades, Dusty has built a reputation of being a proven winner. This was fully displayed last year in 2023 in their run to the Final Four. Dusty embodies all the things we look for in leaders of all of our sports programs. Many of our head coaches are here today. Raise your hand, wave so everybody sees you. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, give them a round of applause. He has high integrity, outstanding character and drive, coupled with an unparalleled understanding of the game and a strong value in connecting with and supporting his student athletes on and off the court. The way he has led his team speaks volumes about him as a coach. I am thrilled to have a coach who has demonstrated not only the capacity to develop talent and build successful programs, but have the understanding of the importance of the university community and the changing recruiting landscape. He has already started to learn and embrace the traditions of this great university. I believe Dusty will be a tremendous asset in our basketball program and our university for many years to come. We are thrilled that Dusty's wife, Anna, as well as their 3 boys, Jack, Charlie, and Eli, are here with him today and joining us in Ann Arbor. I think it was Eli who was born in St. Joe's when Dusty was an assistant coach at Eastern Michigan. So he's coming home. This is where he was born. Please join us in welcoming the David and Meredith Kaplan men's basketball head coach, Dusty May.
It's an honor to stand here representing this great institution and this storied basketball program. I'm going to start off with a lot of thank yous. I have to show gratitude. First of all, President Ono, Athletic Director Ward Manuel, Doug Kanaki, Coach Beeline obviously provided great insight throughout the search. Also, most importantly, my family, Anna, Jack, Charlie, and Eli, drugged those four around the country chasing this dream. And they've been very, very supportive, and they've always been immersed in the local community. So grateful that they're all here. I hated that their teams lost early in their tournaments and was able to be here, but that's the upside that they were able to join us. I want to thank FAU administration, staffers, and most importantly, our players there. They're the reason that I'm able to stand here today. Without them, I wouldn't be here, so I continue and will represent them as a part of me. I want to thank all the coaches that I've served under, worked with, all the players that have impacted my philosophy, touched my heart throughout the years. Several of them have local ties. Charles Ramsey, former Michigan assistant, hired me as a mid-20s young, dumb assistant years ago. And we were able to live in this community for a year and had our youngest son, Eli, who, despite moves through Alabama, while his brothers were cheering for Auburn and Alabama, he stayed loyal to the blue. And one side note also, I'd never met Ward. When I lived at Eastern, I knew his name because he was associate AD here at Michigan. But I had a real estate agent that sold us our house in Ypsilanti by the name of Chrislyn Manuel. So because of that, I was able to follow Ward's career because I knew his name, and that's how you do it in coaching. You follow as people bounce around the country. I want to thank the former Michigan players, coaches, and staffers. You guys built this place. I'm here to serve you and represent you as well as I can, but this is your program. I'm just a steward, and I'm blessed to do that. I will represent this program with class and dignity, and something that is we're never going to waver from. Michigan is a special place because everyone's pulling in the same direction. Our goal across the board, and thank you head coaches, assistant coaches, athletes for being here today. We have a goal to develop young people and compete for championships, and that goal will never change. But this is one place that everywhere you go, and I didn't know it until I lived in this state down the street, the pride, respect, and admiration for that Block M, for the brand of Michigan. I've never been at another university that had as much pride as every alum, student, whoever I come across has in this place. So that's very, very unique. As far as style of play, our goal is to be enjoyable to watch. We want to win championships, but we also want to put fans in the seats and be easy on the eyes. When you watch us play, you should see teamwork. You should see efficiency on both sides of the basketball. But our identity will be teamwork, passion, and togetherness. The details will work themselves out. We'll figure that out later, but watching Michigan basketball will be enjoyable. My wife and I, Anna, we're about to be empty nesters, and typically empty nesters move south. We've decided to go with the reverse commute, and we're trading in the Atlantic Ocean salt water of Boca Raton, Florida, for the fresh lake water of Michigan. We're extremely excited to be here. We can't wait to see all of you next season, especially the Maze Rage. Thank you for being here. Game one in the house that Kazi built. We can't wait, and ready to get going. Go Blue.
At this time, we're going to open up for questions from the media. Remember that Ben and Rick are over there with the microphones. Please utilize them. Ward and Coach May are available. Please just ask for who you want to speak with, and they'll step up and ask a question.
For Coach May, Coach over here. One of your colleagues told us that you introduced him to John Beilein in the 2005-2006 season when you were watching West Virginia and watching his teams and some of the stuff he did. Can you talk about what you learned from him and maybe some others along the way when it comes to your coaching strategy?
Well, I've tried to take something from just about everyone that I've worked for, worked with, assistant coaches. You're in the trenches with them, so you pick up things. But I studied Coach Beilein's teams at West Virginia extensively when his son played for him, and Gansey and all those guys, and then actually worked with Darius Nichols, who's a member of one of Coach Beilein's better teams. And I told Coach Beilein the other day, and he didn't remember this because he does it all the time, but my first week on the job at Florida Atlantic as a young head coach, he walked the baseline in Indianapolis, I remember it like it was yesterday, and he sat down next to me and he said, "You don't know me?" And I said, "Well, actually I do. You're a Hall of Fame coach, and I'm hopefully an employed coach in a couple of years." But he sat down and told me the impact that we have as coaches in college and how important it is to never waver from the integrity of the game, from the responsibilities we have as head coaches. So I've taken a number of things from Coach Beilein. Obviously, I watched his teams here. Several of the players have reached out, and I'm excited to develop those relationships and continue building on what all these coaches have done here.
For Dusty, Andrew Kahn, Ann Arbor News, MLive.com. Nice to meet you. As far as roster building, in the short term, what is your plan for next season, given all the openings? And then long term, is it going to be portal, high school recruits, or combination?
By preference, I enjoy younger players and having continuity, building, growing together, and therefore the lifelong relationships that I feel like I have with almost every player I've ever coached. It's modern athletics, though. The portal will be a valuable asset every year. We'll use it. Our goal has always been find the best players we can find and help them be the best they can be. So I don't have an answer. We're going to find the best players from Michigan, whether it's international, whether it's high school, prep school, junior college, portal. We'll be on the hunt for the best players that fit us and want to be a part of this story program.
Dusty, over here, Tom Crawford. We had Jay Billis on our radio show a couple years ago, and it stood out in my mind. He said, you know, if you want to hire somebody in any profession, hire the student manager of a college basketball team. And I'm just curious on what that experience was for you at Indiana and working with Coach Knight.
Well, I played Division II basketball and ran cross country and decided that wasn't the best avenue for me to be a coach. And I simply wanted to be a high school coach because of the impact my high school coach, Mark Barnheiser, had on me and how we looked at our coaches and wanted to be like our coaches. And I'm sitting in the video room one day at Indiana, and back at that time, you were cutting tape with an edit pad. And one of the assistant coaches asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I want to coach. And he said, college or high school? And I said, I had no idea college was even an option. With my background, he told me what the managers before me were doing, and a light bulb went off. I started coaching grassroots basketball in the summer. I started traveling the country, working basketball camps, and dove into chasing the dream of being a part of a college basketball program. But you do everything, and times were different then as well. There weren't walk-ons at Indiana. There weren't video coordinators. There weren't administrative assistants. There was a hierarchy amongst managers. So back then, as an 18 or 19-year-old, you were a manager. But after that, you were doing the work of an administrator now. And so, for example, my first job, the interview sounded like this. Well, the job is yours because if you can work for Coach Knight, you can work for anyone. And unless you're the village idiot, then you'll be hired in a couple days. So working for Coach Knight, that experience, what you learn, the values, the preparation, the work ethic, all those things ignited and started my career.
Coach May, this is Kellen with Maize and Brew. Thanks for being here. I was just wondering, with the ever-changing world of recruiting, what your thoughts were on NIL and how you believe it will help you in your time here at Michigan.
We obviously have one of the best alumni bases in the world, and it's a university that really supports athletics. And probably over the last year, our roles and responsibilities as coaches change and evolve. I probably spend about 25 to 30% of my time on NIL and recruiting donors, giving access to our program, doing anything we could to provide opportunities for our players. And it is what it is. I've learned to enjoy it, and it's not going away. And I'd love for our players to be taken care of as much as possible and rewarded for the work that they put in.
wolverine.com. Just wondering how you're going to define success on the floor. You talked about developing young people and competing for championships, but will it be Big Ten regular season championships, deep tournament runs? How will you define it?
The late great Coach Knight used to say regularly, if you're competing for Big Ten championships, then you're competing for a national championship. And our goal is to hang Big Ten championship banners, and therefore we will be competing for national championships.
Jake Sanger with Maize and Brew for Coach May. In a previous interview, you discussed that in your first season at FAU, you had a 40-hour period to recruit players for your team. How do you think that experience really helped you coming into Michigan in this current age of the transfer portal and recruiting players in a short period of time, and how do you plan on attacking that for the future?
Recruiting now in the portal is more like speed dating than the traditional recruiting. And I think it's very, very valuable to have a network of people that you trust and they trust you. And hopefully between former players and former coaches, our program's going to have thousands of agents working for us. When I say agents, people that are going to say great things about us and want players to play for us. So we're going to cast a big net. We'll narrow it down. We'll be very, very patient because we're not going to take the wrong guys because we have several spots. But we're going to be very thorough, but understand that we need to be right. We need to do our research in advance and make sure we make very calculated decisions because there's a lot of options, and they're not all great options.
Hey, Dusty, this is John over here to your left. John Neo, Detroit News. I'm curious, what did you hear when you sat down with Ward and John Beeline from John that maybe helped reassure you that this was the right move? And I guess going forward, do you see a role for him, administrative or otherwise, with your program?
To answer the first question, I asked him several questions about how he was able to sustain the success that he did and how they built it and what their recruiting philosophy was. And the academic component and all those things. But more than anything else, we just talked basketball and how what we thought was the best way to win here. As far as role, like I said, I revere coaches, and I see legendary coaches here today that I'm going to stick my head in and watch them practice, see how they teach. And so I revere coaches, and you have legendary coaches that have represented this institution and hung banners. Absolutely, whatever role he wants, then I'm going to embrace it because I'm going to learn from him and use that information.
Can you walk through that 12-hour period after your season ends and walking off the floor? What happened to get you now to this point?
Walking off the floor, wow, a range of emotions. It had been such a challenging season, and I don't say that in a negative way. And typically when your season ends, you feel like you're going to collapse. You're emotionally fatigued. You're just ready for the next chapter, which usually is recruiting and retention and player meetings. I think it was that night or the next morning, I get a text from my agent, Andy, and he said, Michigan would like to meet in person. We have to work out some logistics, so we worked out the logistics. I think it was Saturday. Was it Saturday? Saturday evening. We got back at 1 or 2 a.m. Friday night. Saturday evening, drove to Fort Lauderdale and met with Ward, Doug, Chad at Turnkey, Andy, myself, and had a great conversation. And I probably showed my hand too early because this was a place that I wanted to be.
No, you did. Perfect.
Hey, Dusty, Tony Garcia, Detroit Free Press, welcome. I guess sort of building on that, there were reports also that Louisville was interested in you. I guess, this question was someone asked before, but that's another storied program with history. Why Michigan?
Louisville is an unbelievable basketball school, but this was the right fit for me, my family, and it just felt right. And I'm a big feel guy. I'm a big fit guy. And from day one, this was one that I just thought would match me and allow me and those around me to have the highest level of success doing it the way that we enjoy doing it.
Noah Kingsley, the Michigan Daily for Dusty. So in the past, Michigan has had a few players who have committed through the transfer portal, but then haven't been able to get through admissions. What's your plan for balancing both finding the right players in the portal, but also dealing with the admissions side of that at a school that's that prestigious?
Well, I was assistant coach at the University of Florida, and it was very similar. There's an academic mission of a university that's never going to change, and our job as coaches is to find student athletes that match and value that mission as well. And sometimes it's more, it's just like the Louisville thing. Social media takes off and it becomes a narrative, and then it's impossible to respond to or even counter. So to answer your question, we'll be very thorough. We'll do our homework as much as possible and try to find the best guys for us.
Bob Winowski, Detroit News. Dusty, you mentioned you want Michigan basketball to be enjoyable to watch. I'm interested, what are your deeper coaching principles about the game? Is it offense, defense, three-point shooting, fast break, just some of the technical aspects that you preach?
If we ever walk the ball up the floor, if we're not at least jogging or moving at a solid pace, then the guys will hear from me. It needs to be free-flowing. We don't want the defense to ever get set. We shoot probably too many threes. We finish at the rim. We play modern basketball. We do use analytics. We use the metrics, but we try to find the best way for us to play, and it usually is centered around what do your best players do well, and then what is everyone's what do the other guys bring as far as skill set, and then you mold. But fast-paced, energetic guys that want to share the ball, play together. All five guys are connected on both sides of the ball. It's more like jazz, where they're playing off of each other, reading each other. So I can't say we're going to shoot a ton of threes this year because I haven't seen our roster yet, but they are worth more, so we want to shoot a lot of them. And defensively, we try to be a little bit different. We try to be as disruptive as we can with our personnel, but we've always taken a lot of pride in trying to play a little bit different than everyone else, than the group think, just so you're not preparing for us every single day in your own gym. So, but what it looks like to the detail, I don't know yet, but I do know what I want it to look like at the end of the day, and it's fast. There's a lot of action, very, very few stoppages, and hopefully we're scoring a lot of points.
Michael Cohen from Fox Sports. Dusty, where are you at in terms of putting your staff together, and what do you anticipate the qualities will be that you'll look for in assistant coaches if you are looking to add new people rather than bringing folks with you from FAU?
Well-rounded teachers, first and foremost, that are going to put the players first. They're going to be great teammates amongst themselves. There will be a combination of new staff, of staffers coming with me. Once again, I'm going to be very thorough and make sure the right guys are in the right spots for this place, for this program. But I know that I'll be surrounded by hard workers who really, really care about the young men we're coaching. And if they don't have a blast coming in every day doing it, then they're not gonna fit in well. And it's the same thing with the players. If they don't love ball or they don't love to compete, this is probably the wrong place for them, because this should be the most enjoyable part of their day coming into basketball practice.
Yeah, Anthony Broom, the wolverine.com. A question for Ward. I mean, when you guys decided you were going to make leadership change, what were some of the criteria or emphasis that you wanted to place on the list of candidates, and what made Dusty your top choice?
Well, first of all, he mentioned speed dating. I guess that's what it felt like for me and us. But one of the things I was looking for from the start was a great leader, somebody who had been a proven leader, head coach that I can take a look at. Somebody who had competed in the regular season. I mean, the one thing I know from a lot of coaches is you can win in tournaments and have a great run. But when you're consistent in the conference play, when you're seeing teams more than once, when you're seeing them over the years, that says something about the ability to coach the game, lead, motivate, do all those things. So that's what I was looking for. I tell you, when we checked out and called, I don't know how many people we called all together to talk about Dusty and get some information. Normally, in every search I've ever conducted, you hear something negative, some issue arose, and somebody didn't think he handled it right, or they didn't think they handled this student athlete right, or this team right. Nothing. Everything was positive. And so as you hear that, and we started this process Friday afternoon of looking at and talking about candidates, reaching out, talking to people about who's out there, who do you suggest, who do you think should lead the program. I talked to about 10 or 12 former basketball players in trying to get their sense of who's out there, what do you think, what do we need as a program. And so that's what I was looking for. Great leader, great person, and somebody who had that consistency from being a head coach.
Excuse me, Connor Yergood from UofMHoops.com. Question for Dusty. The first thing you did in Ann Arbor, what was it when you landed? Back here, sorry.
I think we came here, well, we were going to go to the hotel, and I said, you know what, we don't have a lot of time. Let's go ahead and go check out the facilities and tour campus. It's been a while since I was here. And as, we walked in, and we took about 8 detours so I could see the practice facility, the weight room, the football stadium. So the first thing we did was come here and really get a tour of the place and meet all the people that were here.
Ross Martin, 24/7 Sports. Dusty, with NIL, kind of following up on the previous question, did you have conversations with Ward or administration about NIL and what you need? Was that a kind of conversation and questions you had before you decided to accept the position?
Absolutely, and it was more of just where we are, where do we think we can get to, and I volunteered the information that I look at myself as a partner in that, and I'm eager to help and do whatever we can, but absolutely, they came up several times, and they're ongoing, and yeah, we like the direction we're going in.
Sean Windsor, Detroit Free Press. Dusty, there's an anecdote from a story that was written about you in the last couple of years where you're in practice and you're trying to teach a double team, and the double team's not coming from the right place or at the right time, something like that, and instead of getting really, really frustrated in the moment, you kind of bite your tongue and say, I'm actually glad you made this mistake because you're not going to make it in the game. I'm curious where that comes from, how has that evolved over the years, and just your sort of philosophy of teaching and connecting with players.
Oh, wow. This could go in several directions. Usually I'll listen to a podcast, and if something really grabs me, then I'll probably start calling whoever did the podcast and having conversations on the phone, and then I'll ask them if I can come and meet with them or whatever the case. So the gentleman, Doug Lemov, was on a podcast, and then once I started researching him, I ordered probably 4 or 5 of his books, read his books, and it really had an impact on the way I was teaching the game, and it was practice. These players, they don't intentionally make mistakes. At the end of the day, we're simply trying to teach better and to get to prepare them to perform on game night better. And I immediately tried that method. And usually in that situation, a player makes a mistake that you would think should be a very simple solution to that. They usually, you get on them and they drop their head, and I tried that method, and I was shocked because the shoulders came up, eye contact, and it just really resonated with that player that, you know what, obviously, in whatever it was, I watched him, he watched me, and so we started doing things like that more often. And that player who was a reserve came in the last possession in the conference tournament and performed that double team to perfection, and we won the game. So I'm not sure if it was cause, effect, chance, random, whatever the case, but I know his response to me and how much better I felt because he was able to learn and I didn't have to chastise him. I just felt like that was going to be something that I really was intentional about going forward.
Lindsay Buden, the Michigan Daily. A question for Dusty. Michigan's coming off a bit of a disappointing season. is there any plan or strategy that you have for this off-season, maybe implementing your culture to help them bounce back?
Well, culture's people. We're going to try to create the absolute best environment for their improvement and have them enjoy the process of learning. I'm developing relationships with the players. They're evaluating me. I'm evaluating them. Once they're here, it's no longer speed dating. Relationships take time. I'm going to get to know them. If they want to be a part of the program and they fit, then they'll be here. If not, then we'll help them with whatever's next. But we have a lot of work to do with roster construction and roster development. It's too early to be specific right now because I don't know what all of them are thinking and things like that.
Hey, Dusty, welcome to Ann Arbor. Dennis Fithian from Rivals. I saw a quote just, I think yesterday, where you mentioned you wanted this to be transformative, not transactional. That's been kind of code around here for you're not going to be able to get top 10 or top 25 players. Are you going after the top players across the country? What will you say to them to get them to Michigan?
Well, we'll sell. There's a lot to sell to get them here to Michigan. As far as top 10, top 20, we're going to chase the best players we can, and typically the best players want to get better. Our job is to help them improve and be the best they can be, and if they believe you can, then you're going to have a shot at it. And we're in an unbelievable conference with everything accessible for improvement. There's no reason why we wouldn't get chase the best players in the country. But we have to, once again, we trust our eyes, and we're going to find the best players for us, but there's not going to be a guy that is ranked this that we're going to not go after because of that ranking.
Hey, Dusty, Jacob Seuss with WZZM. Congratulations, but just going off that, the couple of recruits already committed to the program who had committed to Coach Howard, have you had a chance to connect with them, and what will you say to them about why this is still a program they should be a part of?
Well, I need to find time to evaluate them more and go see them and visit. There haven't been enough hours yet. Once again, it has to be the right fit for them, for us. I'm excited to see them. They obviously committed to this place for a reason. And so, but it's just too early in the process to say I have connected with them, and there's third parties. But, the recruiting landscape's changed where you have to evaluate everything, and I'm sure they're evaluating me and us. And like I said, I'm sure this week, in the next coming weeks, I'll have more time to get to know them and evaluate them, and also give them a chance to do their homework on me.
Hey, Dusty, congratulations. Isaiah Hole from Wolverines Wire. I know it's been something of a whirlwind for you coming here, but Michigan's got a couple really big rivalries in Michigan State and Ohio State. How much have you been able to kind of learn about those? What did you already know, and how do you attack those?
When you grow up in Big Ten country, you're well aware of the rivalries, and I became really, really close with a few guys that played football at this school down south. And Chris Carter lived in the neighborhood next door and works at FAU now. So I'm very, very familiar with the rivalries.
Coach Chris Ballas with wolverine.com on 3. Another one of your colleagues said a long time ago when you were a young coach, he called you a basketball junkie. Are you still that guy, and how do you balance that with family, and how does that grow even if you are still a junkie?
Well, I don't have a lot of hobbies. I wake up every day starving to get better. As far as junkie, I don't know. That could go in a lot of different directions. But yeah, I'm obsessed with trying to become a better teacher and coach. And fortunately, my family's very immersed in my career, and they love the game and all that goes with it. And my wife's great with our players, and my sons are around their age, so they have a relationship with them as well. So luckily, our worlds, they've collided with basketball and family.
Dusty, as you have some more time to look at how you want to put this roster together, there are probably ways to do it that would give you a better chance of winning games early, but that may or may not mesh with the best choice of how to build the program over a couple of seasons. How are you going to balance trying to win games right away, put fans in the seats, like you said, versus doing what's best for the program over the course of a couple of seasons?
I do think year one is important for putting a product on the floor that people want to be a part of. And that means a lot of things, how the players interact with each other, the connection between them, the connection between them and the students and the fan base. We definitely have to, I don't want to say have, you don't have to do it. I do feel that we need to put a good team on the court from day one, in year one, and then continue to build. Therefore, we'll sign some high school players, we'll sign some portal players, but also having some continuity where it's not a roster overhaul every year. But once again, it's too early, but there won't be a point when we just throw in the towel and say we're not going to be competitive this year because it's year one. We want to win, and we want to be able to sell that going forward, what we were able to do in year one.
Dusty, there are some very talented players on your Florida Atlantic roster. Have you had any conversations with them about maybe following you here?
We met as a group, and then several of them met individually when I left. They had a range of emotions. Right now, they're focused on FAU, and I don't think any of them are in the portal. But right now, I don't know. I want that place to continue to sustain success, and I'll do everything I can to help that. But if any of those guys, those questions be asked later, I don't know right now.
That's going to do it. We appreciate everybody's time, and welcome to Dustin May one more
Great
time.
job, brother.